There's a certain kind of person in this world who doesn't slip into feelings slowly. They don't take small steps or carefully measure their emotions, testing them against logic or caution. They jump, not recklessly, but instinctively, as if the heart moves before the mind even has time to speak, as if something inside them recognizes something familiar, long before reason knows why. Maybe you've met someone like this, a person whose eyes light up just a little more when they meet someone new, someone who feels a spark, not because they're desperate or unrealistic, but because they carry a natural openness to connection. They feel deeply, tenderly, and quickly, and they're not ashamed of it, though they often learn to hide it. Or maybe it's you. Maybe you've wondered why your heart reacts so quickly, why a simple conversation leaves you thinking about someone for days, why kindness feels significant, why attention feels meaningful, why you can see potential before anything even begins. And perhaps you've wondered if something is wrong with you. This video is meant to show you that nothing is wrong with people who fall in love too fast. In fact, their emotional world is far more complex, rich, and psychologically meaningful than most people realize. Falling quickly isn't a flaw. It's a map, one that leads back to history, to patterns, to unmet needs, to sensitivity, to imagination, and to the emotional architecture that quietly shapes a person long before they ever choose who to care for. Let's begin with something simple. Human connection is not logical. We like to pretend it is. We like to say things such as, take your time, get to know them first, don't rush. And yes, caution can be useful. But emotion doesn't operate on logic. Human connection is an instinct, a pattern, a set of emotional memories that form long before adulthood. The speed with which someone feels affection has more to do with attachment history and emotional sensitivity than anything else. Imagine a person who grew up craving emotional closeness, not in a dramatic or tragic way, but in a quiet, ordinary way. Maybe their parents loved them but were emotionally distant. Maybe affection was inconsistent. Maybe feelings weren't talked about. Maybe they learned early that if they wanted to feel understood, they had to imagine it. They had to create emotional safety in their mind, not in the environment around them. You see, when a child grows up without consistent emotional presence, they often develop a vivid inner world. They learn to fill emotional gaps with imagination, softness, hope, and daydreams. Not fantasies about perfect people, but fantasies about perfect connection, about what it would feel like to truly be seen, understood, valued, and safe with someone. And so when they meet someone in the real world who shows even a glimpse of warmth, gentleness, or shared understanding, something inside them stirs. It's not that they fall in love with a stranger. It's that the stranger taps into a years-old emotional longing. The longing to connect deeply and freely. The longing to feel safe enough to open up. The longing to be able to trust without feeling foolish for wanting trust in the first place. People who fall in love too fast are not imagining a person. They are responding to a feeling that is rare to them, a feeling they've spent most of their life trying to find. Let's picture a real-life example. There's a teenager, quiet, thoughtful, always polite. They're the kind of person who listens more than they speak. They're observant, gentle, maybe even a little shy. Growing up, they learned how to handle their emotions on their own. They became the stable one in their family, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who held everything together. When they needed comfort, they stayed quiet. When they were scared, they acted strong. When they were lonely, they distracted themselves. Now imagine this same teen in school or in a new environment. One day, someone sits beside them, someone friendly, someone who smiles at them, talks to them, remembers small details about them. Suddenly, something warm spreads through their chest, not because they're in love, but because they feel seen. Emotional recognition is powerful, especially for someone who spent much of their life being inwardly independent. To other people, it looks like they're catching feelings too fast. But inside, what's really happening is that a long, quiet part of them is waking up. The part that wants connection. The part that wants someone to understand them without having to hide everything they feel. The part that wants to feel safe enough to be vulnerable. This is why falling fast is rarely about the other person. It's about the emotional experience that person seems to offer. Another example. Imagine someone who always gave more than they received. Someone who spent years being emotionally responsible for everyone else. Friends, siblings, even adults in their life. They grew up with the belief that their value comes from caring for others. But deep down, they often wished for someone who would care for them just as fully. When they meet someone who shows early kindness, something inside them softens. They allow themselves to hope, to imagine, to feel relieved for once. And to them, that feeling of relief feels like connection. When someone falls fast, they aren't falling for a face or a name. They are falling for emotional safety, a safety they haven't always had. Psychology calls this emotional resonance. It's when someone's presence activates old emotional memories, sometimes painful, sometimes hopeful. Falling quickly is rarely random. It's a response to something familiar, something warm, something meaningful. Let's explore something deeper. The imagination of someone who falls fast is not a flaw. It's a form of emotional creativity. People who fall quickly tend to have rich inner worlds. They can see possibility the way artists see colors in empty spaces. They can sense potential in small gestures. They can feel deep meaning in simple interactions. Not because they're making things up, but because they have the emotional sensitivity to perceive subtle things that others overlook. It's like how some people can hear the faintest hint of sadness in someone's voice, or notice when a person hesitates before answering, or understand the shift in someone's energy before words are spoken. Emotional sensitivity is a gift, but it can also lead to misreading situations or getting attached to feelings that aren't fully formed yet. People who fall in love too fast aren't imagining a relationship. They're imagining peace. They're imagining closeness. They're imagining the possibility of being emotionally understood. This isn't delusion, it's hope. And hope is not a weakness, especially for someone who hasn't always been given enough of it. But let's talk about something important. Falling fast can sometimes lead to getting hurt. Not because the person is foolish, but because emotional intensity can cloud early judgment. When someone feels deeply, they can sometimes confuse emotional resonance with emotional compatibility. They might see compassion and interpret it as commitment. They might see attention and interpret it as interest. They might see kindness and interpret it as connection. It's not delusion, it's desire for closeness, for understanding, for emotional safety. People who fall fast often have a tender form of optimism. They want to believe in the good in others. They want to trust that emotional moments are real. They want to think that the world is capable of the kind of depth they feel inside. And perhaps one of the most misunderstood things about them is this. They don't love quickly because they're fragile. They love quickly because they're strong enough to feel deeply. strong enough to hope again even after disappointment, strong enough to believe in connection even after being let down, strong enough to allow themselves vulnerability even when they know it may hurt. It takes courage to feel quickly, and that courage is rarely acknowledged. Now let's explore the psychology behind this. Falling fast is strongly connected to three things. First, attachment history. People with anxious or mixed attachment styles often develop emotional intensity early in relationships because connection feels rare and precious. On the other hand, people with secure attachment fall more steadily, not because they don't care, but because their nervous system doesn't interpret closeness as scarce or urgent. Second, emotional sensitivity. Some people simply feel more deeply. Their nervous system responds strongly to connection, warmth, and shared energy. Neuroscience shows that emotionally sensitive people often have more active mirror neurons, meaning they feel other people's emotions more intensely, and therefore feel connection more intensely, too. Third, early emotional narratives. Many people who fall quickly grew up with a belief, usually subconscious, that love must be earned quickly, or shown quickly, or held on to quickly before it disappears. This belief isn't logical. It's emotional. And emotional beliefs don't fade just because someone grows older. Let's return to a more poetic view. There is something incredibly human about falling fast. It means the heart still believes in its own softness, even in a world that teaches people to harden themselves. It means the person still carries an untouched part of their spirit, the part that still believes connection can be genuine, gentle, and transformative. It means they haven't given up on the idea that people can feel deeply for one another, even early on. And yet, falling fast has its lessons. People who feel quickly often learn the importance of grounding themselves before giving too much. They learn to breathe, to observe, to pace themselves. Not because they need to shut down their emotions, but because they deserve to protect their heart. They learn that emotional intensity is beautiful, but emotional patience is protective. They learn that connection can grow gradually without losing meaning. They learn that love doesn't need to be rushed in order to be real. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: falling fast is not a flaw. It's a sign of emotional openness. It means the person is capable of deep connection, powerful empathy, and profound emotional depth. It means they value love enough to let themselves feel it, even when the world tells them not to. And people who fall quickly often grow into the kind of adults who love with sincerity, kindness, and intuition. They love with their whole heart, but they also learn how to love with wisdom. They learn how to allow time to reveal truth. They learn how to differentiate between emotional resonance and emotional readiness. They learn that depth is meaningful, but steadiness is safe. Let's end with a gentle reflection. If you are someone who falls too fast, I hope you know this. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not dramatic, delusional, or naive. You are human in the most tender way possible. You feel deeply because you were built with a heart that refuses to close. You hope quickly because your spirit has survived things that could have made you hard, but didn't. You connect fast because you understand the quiet truth that life is too short to pretend not to feel. And yes, you may learn to slow down. You may learn to protect your heart a little more. You may learn to let love unfold instead of rushing toward it. But I hope you never lose the softness that makes you who you are. I hope you never trade emotional depth for emotional numbness. I hope you never believe that sensitivity is something to be ashamed of. The world needs people who feel deeply. The world needs people who love sincerely. The world needs people whose hearts move quickly, because those are often the hearts that carry the most light. So if you fall in love too fast, remember this. Your heart is not your weakness. It is your strength. And one day, someone will understand that in all the ways you've always deserved. Thanks for watching. Don't forget like and subscribe.